Well, we're recording.
We are fucking. We're fucking.
We're fucking. It's your boys. We're fucking. Welcome to Trashcats.
Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. It's your boys, Ricky and
Steven. What's up?
This week is our art episode. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about culinary arts.
Yes.
But first, Steven, how was your week?
Oh, man. My week, to be honest, was a mix. Not like bad. My lows aren't like super low, but definitely some depression shit this week. But still trying to stay positive, getting some shit done. So I'm doing all right. How about you, man?
I'm somewhat on the same page. Good highs though. I'm looking at potentially starting a new job this summer.
Yeah.
Which could be a lot of fun. I just kind of got into that yesterday. And
Yeah,
that seems cool.
Fucking sounds awesome and is right on theme with the episode.
Yeah, exactly. A different kitchen job, still kitchen shit. I'm almost certain I've said it on recording already that I've been trying to kind of get out of the culinary thing, but it seems like a fun opportunity. It kind of seems different than anything I've ever done. So it might be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm excited to explore. I've always loved culinary arts, but it hasn't been like my personal passion, but I always have loved it and have got the opportunity to see a lot of it through you. So I think this will be fun to discuss with you.
Yeah, I got started really early with it. Just whether it was like cooking stuff for myself at home or like, getting high and making munchy food. And just like, I'm going to make the dankest shit I possibly can.
That Pea Hill stew.
Yeah, boy. The whole started like my parents moved to Florida when I was really young, and like I stayed in Cincinnati. My dad moved down there, and then my mom would go back and forth, and sometimes she would be as I got older, she'd spend more time down there and like shorter times up north, or like it was equal, but it was like longer segments, like months versus weeks and stuff. But so I stayed with my aunt, and she wouldn't get home until later. And my grandma was there, and like, she didn't, cook or anything. So I would go in there and I would just, whether it's making a sandwich or something, but like making a dope looking sandwich with like, the little pickle spear on top, and like you played it with the chips and shit, and like knowing how to layer the shit right. I didn't really think about it at the time, but that was really me starting to get into like, oh yeah, like this is definitely something I should be doing, which I wouldn't realize until much later.
Yeah, and even those small things like that, it just, a shitty sandwich, even if it's the same food, a shitty sandwich compared to like a well-made sandwich, like changes your quality of life. It's very weird how much of a difference it makes.
You can make multiple different sandwiches with the same ingredients, and it's gonna be, each one could taste different.
Yeah. So this is our the first episode of our new cycle of the second cycle. Third cycle. And art episode, culinary art. This is gonna be awesome. Do you want to before we get into it? Do you want to kick off any honorable mentions? I do.
So today I want to talk about a person who's very near and dear to my heart.
Our homie.
This is full disclosure. This is my boy from 7th grade. His name's David Blake. You can find his music on Spotify. You can look up. There's a couple of different David Blakes on there, but he's the first one that comes up. He's got songs such as Loser, Esme, Cul-de-sac, What Makes a Man, Ugly, Ordinary People. He's also got a YouTube video that he was featured on with an artist called Pronounced Yeah. The song's called World on Fire. It's not his music in this one, but he does the lyrics, he wrote the lyrics and does all the vocals. David's a singer, songwriter. He's been doing it since way back. He was a vocal student in high school, vocal major in high school, and he picked up guitar and just fucking excelled. Like we had a group of friends that some of them played guitar, and he picked it up after I think a lot of people did, and actually got really crafty with it, and kind of makes his own sound and makes his own style with it that's really unique to him.
Yeah, I always felt like he sounded like for real. His voice, it captures emotion very well. He's got a strong, like, emotional vibe, and he kind of reminds me of like Mountain Goats meets Placebo meets Cobain.
Yeah, like I can see that.
He was like our Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of influence you can tell from like Elliott Smith. Man, I can't think of the guy. Fuck, it's one of the guys that everybody usually makes fun of, but he's one of the most prolific songwriters in history. He speaks like this, and he sings like it's kind of
Count Chocula.
Yeah, yep, that's it. Nailed it. He's got a lot of Count Chocula influence. Fuck.
He's a really good writer, though.
He is. He's really prolific. The amount of music that he's written since we were kids, kind of thing. Like he was writing songs when we were young.
Yeah, and like I met you guys junior year of high school, and both you and him like were so cool right away, like making me feel like I had a group. You guys were the best.
Yeah, that was like I said, me and David, definitely the oldest friend I still talk to. I got one of our buddies from way back, Josh, we talked to as well, but I don't think I've don't keep up with him nearly as much. Yeah, David Blake. It's David_Blake_music on Instagram. He's got a Spotify link on there too. Super great musician. He's also way into conservationalism and like working with animals and shit like that. So super like wide range, wide skills. Kick-ass dude.
Yeah, my favorites. He has one on his Instagram called Ordinary People that I like a lot, and then I think the ugly one's actually called Ugly or something, but I couldn't remember what it was. But really good. Definitely check him out.
One of his ones on Spotify called Esme is it's very, very sad, and it's an older one of his songs that he wrote, but it's very touching for the people that know what it's about.
I just got it.
Yeah, there was a young girl that went missing. She was kidnapped and killed while we were in school, and much younger than us, but it's like in a school that was 4th grade through 12th grade, there wasn't 1,000 people there, so everyone knew each other some way or another, and it affected everybody. And it was a really, stop the world kind of moment for us. And he was the way that he put that emotion into words, for people that he didn't even know, just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool how the community of that school handled that.
Yeah.
Compared to some other things I've seen at other schools. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that. I'll have to listen to that one for sure. I don't know his material as thoroughly as I'd like to, but something I meant to say too is like compared to anyone I've heard play the guitar in person, like a lot of his songs start kind of on the like quieter side, and he has these great build-ups, and I've never heard anyone in real life get as loud or generate that much power off acoustic guitar. Like,
yeah, no, dude fucking rips.
It's pretty crazy.
He's got a really I think he's his training is probably mostly classical from school, so I think that build up of a strong crescendo into this beautiful, building on elements up to this point is something that's, kind of beaten into him, but he's just incredible songwriter.
Yeah. So, my other honorable mentions, I'm sending to you now. I chose two classical paintings, and you'd likely have seen one or both of these before.
Oh.
The first one I'm going to go with, and excuse my pronunciation on the names, we'll have these posted on the Insta as well, is by Franz Settlisser, something. It's called Ghost on a Tree, and both of these paintings are very eerie, but this one's like almost a hellscape scene of these ghost bird creatures on a tree, and it's from 1933.
Oh, wow. That's sick.
Yeah, both of these are old. What do you think of that one?
You could have asked me when this was from. I would have said, 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
Just in the stylization of it. It's really, like it's got the macabre elements of it. And I thought at first when, in the thumbnail, I thought it was just birds. And then, opening it up, it's got the appearance that they have like the kind of robes that kind of fade down like, down feathers would. Yeah, like wow.
Vulture goes. And that one's a hard one to find a good quality image of, but there's some awesome, it exists somewhere. There's some really awesome close-ups of it. For whatever reason, there aren't many good, high-quality photos of that painting.
The other one you sent.
Yeah, this other one is called Full Moon in Winter. There's a lot of paintings by this name, but this is just like one of my classic, favorite classic, paintings. It's
I feel like if you were gonna do a painting, it would be.
I wish I could do this.
Yeah, this would be the result kind of thing. Or if you could do the painting you wanted to do.
Right. Yeah, I never. I got pretty fucking good at drawing. Painting I wasn't as good at, but I could get pretty good. But this is the shit that, if I would have gone full in, I wish I could do this. This is by Luis Dauzete. Sorry about the names, but it's just like an eerie winter moon scene. And there's a whole, genre of, moon scenes like this, where it's, the eerie, graveyard vibe landscape.
It's just the detail and the color.
Yeah. The crackling is so good too, and the texture. They had a couple, I don't know if it was his work, but it was one of those that in this similar genre at the Cincinnati Art Museum of the midnight moon scene paintings. I love these eerie, gloomy, they have that green stain. Snow, but it feels like a swamp.
Yeah.
Just feels like, and I love, and I'm not big of houses or architecture and landscapes, but it's got this house with a light on in it that just feels so creepy. It's like the opening scene of a horror movie.
It's like if Bob Ross did PCP. Yeah. That's kind of, with, and added some some detail to it.
Yeah. Now I want to fucking do PCP with Bob Ross.
Seriously. If I was going to do it with anybody, it'd be
That'd
Bob
be
Ross.
The guy. Cool.
If I'm going to wake up eating anybody,
it's going to be Bob Ross.
It's going to be Bob Ross.
So that's our honorable mentions.
Fuck yeah, those were really nice. I'm going to have to look into, especially that second artist. I've never seen a painting that was like that before.
He's got some other ones that are really good too. That's just one of my favorites. So how about you introduce us more into culinary arts? Let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, first I want to ask you, so what did you eat today?
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Let's see. For breakfast, I had a 0-calorie monster, and then I waited about 7 hours till 6 p.m. and I made some bagel pizzas, and then I had a second monster, and now we are recording.
Nice.
So I did not eat well today.
Okay, yeah, you did pretty poorly.
Pretty bad. Suboxone, caffeine, and nicotine.
Yeah,
and a
boy.
Pizza. Let's go.
Let me think of what I had. I had for breakfast. Okay, so for breakfast I just had a snack early on. I had some mixed nuts, like cashews and pecans and shit like that. I didn't have anything most of the rest of the morning until the afternoon while I'm at work. I taste tested a bunch of, how you do. We did making chimichurri, and I was working on some seasoning blends. So not a lot of food intake there, but, flavors. Getting a bunch of different shit in there. I came home and I made myself an omelet with spinach and green beans and cheddar cheese. It's fucking killer.
You son of a bitch.
I know. I put like some I made like some chili. I didn't have like a barbecue seasoning, but I used like chili powder and onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and the spinach, and then the green beans were blanched already, so I just kind of heated those up in the pan, then put the eggs in. I've been getting these Vital Farm eggs, and they're like super like golden yolks, like they're like cage-free eggs.
Those are so much better,
dude. They like on the packaging they promise like over 100 square feet per hen. And it's like you can like go to a link on the fucking container and see the farm, get like a 360 view of the farm.
Wow.
It's pretty fucking sick, and you can tell the quality. It's so different.
They say the protein's like 30% higher too.
I believe that. I mean, just the lack of just shitty conditions. It's like I can't imagine getting a regular shitty white egg anymore. Like I want speckles on that motherfucker. Like I don't care if it's only it's $5 for a dozen of them, but like, dude, if that means I get such a better product, like fuck.
Yeah, we should talk about another time like regenerative farming and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Also, I have pigs outside of my house and chickens and roosters in my yard every day, and I don't get any eggs.
They have I forget.
Dude, they have like 3 200-pound pigs. They just slaughtered one yesterday. They had a barbecue.
Fuck.
Dude, it's off the chain. It's like it's in city limits. We got like one time the pigs got out and they ran into traffic. They're 200 pounds.
Yeah.
They're as big as me, like running through traffic and shit.
Yeah, nah, dog.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fuck, dude. Tell them that they need somebody to help them do butchery.
Yeah,
I'm your fucking boy. I'll take some
in there for eggs.
Yeah, I'll take some sausage out of the deal. Some ribs would be cool, but make some salamis out of it.
Yeah, I think they use everything too,
as they should.
It's pretty wild though.
I'm down with the urban farming. It sucks you don't get any eggs out of the deal. You definitely need to fuck with them on that. Like, hey, I gotta listen to these fuckers all night. Let me at least get some eggs for the morning.
Yeah, they got ducks now. And honestly, I'm pro the urban farming aspect. I like that they do that in a way, but they also do some fucked up shit. So it's like,
yeah.
But the animals themselves don't bother me. But anyway,
so why culinary arts? Of course,
yes.
like it is. When people think of art, that's not usually the first one that comes to mind for a lot of people. But like I was saying earlier, that's the way I got into art was. So the way I got into the culinary arts was, on a similar level as a lot of the things that I learned about art going to our high school were, like the basic principles and elements of art, like composition, you use when you're plating a dish and you're figuring out like how to arrange the things on a plate, and some people do the wild shit where there's just like sauce all over the fucking place. And, and it's some of that, like if you do it in a really creative and fun way, it's cool. But, you have to remember that it's a plate of food, like put the sauce on the shit, like don't make them sauce the fucking thing themselves, or make them guess what to do with it just because you intend them to cut the piece of steak and then dip it in the sauce. They don't know that shit. Like, trust me, I know it. I've been
why
to
is this shit splattered all over the side?
Yeah, I've done, dinners for people before where, I've done shit like that and they're like, or I give them like sauces with stuff and they're like, so do I like eat it all together or do I do like, it's like, figure it out. Taste the thing by itself first, and then figure out how you want to eat it. I don't know, like fuck with it.
It's up to you, huh?
And then like there's like balance, like you have a lot of balance, in art, you don't, it doesn't need to be balanced in any particular way, but you find a way to make it, harmonious. So in culinary that, translates to flavors and textures, certain things don't match, you're not going to mix, onion and vanilla. It's not going to be, I'm sure there's a way to make that taste good. I just played that back in my head and I thought, fuck, that might, vanilla and nutmeg, like those things, they can mesh and you can, learn, figure that out. Now, if you take that vanilla nutmeg and then you have a little cayenne, like all you think like, oh, that ain't gonna work, but like, no, I'm telling you right now,
you can make it work.
Yeah, that fucks. I knew you were gonna laugh on that.
I like that.
Actually, I used to make chocolate protein shakes, and I put hot sauce in it. Dude, that shit fucking slaps right there.
I'm not big on the hot going in drinks much, but every once in a while, and I see how it could be good in a protein shake.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I mean, I guess they even sell like the like dark chocolate bars with like chili in it, or like peppers in it and shit. So like it's out there, man. It's you can mix and match and fuck with shit, within reason. And same with textures, like understanding that like, if you cook, you want to make a bunch of different things and put it in a bowl together. But if it's all got a mushy texture, you cook it all the shit, then it's just going to be a bowl of mush. It's goulash and whatever. But if you balance the way that you cook, like each individual ingredient has its own texture. Like these chickpeas are crunchy and this lettuce is tender, but you have this creamy sauce on it, and these nice crisp vegetables. Like they're all going to have bite to it, and mushy can be fine too in some things, like pudding and stuff like that. But you want to have things that counteract it. Like that's why the banana pudding. Wafer. Yeah, exactly. The banana pudding with vanilla wafers on it, man. Like that's classic, and it's perfect the way it is.
Now, here's a question for where I meant to get you earlier. With plating, is like in visual arts, is symmetry and asymmetry a part of plating? Because the plating part always seems like pretty abstract to, I feel like, most people. Like,
yeah, and I it might depend on who you ask. As with culinary, I feel like asymmetrical shit is definitely always the way to go. If you make it centered, center everything, it's fucking weird. And that also has its place, so it's not like I don't ever do it. Right. But the excuse me. The importance and challenge of plating, I think, would vary chef to chef. Like, I think it's extremely important. I think a lot of chefs would argue that it is. I think a lot of people in general lately are big on it, especially with like all the food pictures and shit.
Do you think at all the plating composition is overhyped a little bit?
Yeah. That's always... to a degree. Because I think it's extremely important to understand. It sets the difference of, if, even if like I make all this food and then I tell you to plate it versus me plate it, it's going to look completely different. And it's more, it's got a lot of experience to it, but we even if we both have artistic skill and our artistic style of the way we look at it, it's going to be different. And that's the same with two, highly experienced chefs are going to have different ways they want to do it. But it makes the difference in, because there's a good quote that I love. It's you eat with your eyes first.
Yeah, it changes your perception of how you will taste the food.
Yeah, and it's even if stuff as simple as like when you're picking up food from a restaurant, like to even if you're going to take it home or whatever. If you go in and the place looks like shit, it's going to taste different, because it's in your head already that, like, oh, this place looked greasy.
Right.
stuff like that. That's gonna affect the way that you taste it. So I think the plating aspect is, I think it's hyped in a good way, and it's probably a good thing. It makes me a little angry to see people, not angry, I guess. It's just frustrating to see people do a shitty job and, being like, oh, check out what I did. And it's not even like they did a shitty job, like at home chefs or whatever. Like, I get it. They're not professional. They're not trying to, they're not serving this to customers. I get it. And not to say, when chefs post pictures online, like that are coming up like, hey, what do you think of this presentation? That's different. But when they're, that's another thing, is the ego thing too, I guess. That's more of the root of it. Like, hey, check out how fucking dope this looks. And it looks like shit. And you're like, come on, man. Like, that looks like shit. If you don't know that looks like shit, then,
Yeah. And I think we'll get into more of the ego aspects of this later too.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of interesting...
Absolutely, we will.
Yeah. So composition, texture.
The balancing, proportions, and that's it can be like just whether you're the amount, literal portions of how you're serving things, to like different kind of cuts in. Especially in French classical style, there's a lot of different, defined cuts that are like based on actual like measurement sizes that you can say, like, batons or juliennes or chiffonade and stuff like that. And as a chef, you have to know what that means. You don't have to, I guess, but you know what that means, and you can come up with, like, oh, I want like a long julienne, or I want a thick, like a wider julienne, and you can build on that to communicate with people better. And that's one of the saving graces of the, French classical being the main style that everyone teaches.
Gotcha.
But now also, sorry, go ahead.
I have a question for you. So first I wanted to mention it, and we'll get into it more. We're also going to talk about our sushi documentary, and I found it interesting that this sushi master would base people's proportions at times based on the person's sex or size and weight, like choosing which cuts or proportions serving was right for the right person. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like that's some old world shit.
Yeah, it felt a little weird, but it also was kind of cool that they would pay that much attention to your personal experience. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to mention something else. I'll remember.
The other, relationship with the culinary thing is, the styles. And like, you have all these different styles of artwork from around the world, where they originated from. And these different artists that, put their touch on a style, just like look at Monet and, what, kind of his spin on things caused this, or fueled this revolution of the way people look at art. And it's a similar thing in culinary industry of these different cultures that, have these different works of art, if you will, of different kinds of styles of food and the way that they cook them. And, it's all based on things that were regional and local to them and things that they had. And, I love the idea of some of these like fusion restaurants that are like, we have the technology now, like we can make Mexican, Asian food. And it's, one of my favorite places that I used to go in Toronto when I lived there, was like directly downstairs from my building at, Jarvis and Gerard, right next to the Hooker Harvey's. You go, you go like half a block west, and it was a Thai and Italian place. So you could get like a pizza and some dope Thai food, and it was so fucking good. And it was just this couple, like he was Italian and she was Thai, and they had some dope fucking food.
Okay, you reminded me my question. So the first, what did you call it? The julienne cut?
Yeah, julienne.
So those different cuts, is that based on the shape of the cut or where it's from in the meat?
Shape.
Okay.
So those
all
ones in
represent.
particular are like usually vegetables and stuff like that. They tell you do like
Okay.
a julienne of carrots or something like that, and it's like a like a thick matchstick kind of thing, if you would. And then like and that's another one. It's like the butchery cuts and like understanding what that is, and like there's a language that's based around that,
Right.
and part of it's because it's food and everyone eats, so we have to eat things, but like it's not just that we have to eat, because if we if it was just that, then it's like it's all pork. It's the whole thing. It's pig. You eat that, but it's like no, I don't just want pig. I want like spare ribs. I want, this, I want that tenderloin, I want Boston butt. And like to know what those things are means that there's a love language kind of relationship around, a respect of what it is and like what you're going to do with it and how you're going to prepare it. And, so there's an art just in the preparation of, the food.
Now you mentioned the fusion stuff. Now, what's the deal with and I don't fully understand if I know what I'm talking about, the molecular cooking stuff?
So molecular gastronomies,
Yes.
it got real popular, like just as, I mean, a little bit before, but like as I was getting out of high school. And it was one of the things that really drove me into it. Like, I had got real big into Alinea and Graniquettes. He's like a dude in Chicago that's got one of the. I think his restaurant was #1 in the world for like 5 years in a row or some shit.
Wow.
Just absolutely bonkers shit. He's on Chef's
Whose
Table.
rating is that? Is that the stars? The
No,
Michelin?
that's not Michelin that does that. There's
Something else.
yeah, there's something else.
Okay.
But they are absolutely 3-star Michelin shit, like all day long. And they deserve it. They're fucking, crazy work that they do. It's almost more like a science experiment than it is cooking, and to a degree.
Yeah,
The crazy
looks
shit
so
that they do.
cool.
But that's Granite Cat's actually really cool. Funny story. There's a pie place up the street here called a Cat's, and I looked into it. And it turns out it's the same family. It's just like somebody's niece or aunt or somebody that's up here, and they make pies and the fucking dope pies. They also have like stuff in the store and whatever, but like that, the molecular gastronomy thing was one of the things that turned me, got me way into the food scene, was because like I'm into the plating, I'm into the art of it, and here's these people doing just wild shit, like completely breaking the norm, breaking the concept of what cooking is and like what it means to plate a thing. Like one thing was like it looked like a strawberry, but it tastes like tomato.
Yeah,
And
like they're doing extractions and like flavor injection. Like it's like there's a science aspect to it.
fucking scent infused pillows and stuff like that. Like they hit
wow.
the factory of like hitting your nostalgic receptors in your brain from the scents that you smell. And like, a lot of people say like it's a very, very, very emotional experience to eat there.
Wow, that's definitely, as sciencey as it is, very artistic.
Yeah.
Experience.
So I think it's the molecular gastronomy is really cool. Definitely not for everybody.
Yeah.
I have since learned that like I don't have. I think it would be fun to get into and learn as a hobby, but to do it on a scale of a commercial kitchen, boy, I'm just not interested in that.
That sounds kind of brutal. To be honest.
To learn how to do this stuff for fun would be cool. And it's hard to do that because of some of the things that you need to do it. But yeah, it's kind of brutal.
Yeah.
But along the same lines, I was also I got way into of course Marco Pierre White and like Gordon Ramsay. Of the celebrity chefs, like those two are tops. Like I think Marco Pierre White was like one of the first celebrity chefs. Because he was on like the OG Hell's Kitchen. He just talks shit. He was fucking rock and roll motherfucker. Ragging on people and telling customers off and yelling at his staff and whatever. And he was Gordon Ramsay's teacher. And Gordon followed in his footsteps in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I definitely remember Emerald. What was it? Kick It Up a Notch.
Yeah, man, fucking
That was my mom's jam. She's a really good cook.
I fuck with Emerald. I got
Yeah.
actually here's a funny thing. We mentioned David earlier. One of the first times I ever hung out with David, we were over at his house, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. We've been playing like Smash Brothers and shit, but everyone else is asleep, and we looked on TV, and there was of course Emerald's up there doing his thing, and he's cooking these shrimps, and he's putting them in a pot, and as he's or in a pan, and as he's doing. And we just busted out laughing. It was like one of the first times we ever hung out, and like we were like, down after that. Like it was like that was the moment that sealed it.
Dude, that is so fucking funny. Like that's one of those things your sense of humor clicks, and it's like, all right, we're good now.
And here's another pro chef tip. This is important. Anytime you want to know how to make something, especially if you've never made it before, have no idea what the fuck to do on it, look to see if Alton Brown has a recipe for it. Because he's another one. He gets into the science of like, yeah, you can do it this way, and people do it this way, and people do it this way, but this is why this way is better, and like scientifically breaks down the cooking method and the ingredients used, and like why it's better to do this at this temperature than this temperature, and don't spend all your money on this piece of equipment when you don't need it. This one's just as good, if not better, and it's $10 or whatever. And then there's fucking Mario Batali and Fieri. They get a bad rep, but I dig them. I fuck with Guy Fieri.
Now, did you sign that petition I sent you yesterday?
I sure did. Fucking Flavortown, Ohio, boy.
Dude, how crazy would that be if it happened? They're trying to change the city of Columbus in Ohio to Flavortown.
Now, did you see?
Fuck Columbus.
Yeah, because fuck Columbus all day. Christopher Columbus is a piece of shit. He can eat the entirety of my asshole. Did you see in the comment section the guy that started the petition? He's like, I'm backing down from this because this started as a joke, but it took off. He is like, obviously, this was started as a joke. He's like, if we're going to name it after anybody, it should be named after, named by somebody, who was persecuted by, people of his type, shitty slavers and racists and shit like that. So,
that was interesting. I was reading, did you see the updates on it? That's where I saw, he had a long post about, because like, he was like, it's cool how much support this petition has got, and it's crazy people are taking it. This started as a meme and now it's serious, but the reality is like this got so much attention because it's funny, but at the same time it's taking away attention from movements like Black Lives Matter. And I think he got a lot of heat for, like you said, I don't know, it's a very confusing thing because it's definitely was done with the best of intentions, but I think they had to kind of...
I think for sure they're not going to name it Flavortown, but having that up there means that if it means that they're going to at least look at, consider changing the name, that's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Exactly. That's the good intent, inside of that. Mm-hmm. The Guy Fieri, people talk shit, but he's got a long experience and a passion for food. He's just as real as it gets. He raised over $20 million for industry workers last summer during the pandemic. He's the fucking man.
Like that shit he did for the pandemic, like that's some major kudo points, man.
He says corner when he goes around the aisle in the grocery store. That's the other one. It's like the kitchen slang shit. Like I say herd to a degree where I had people that I met up here that I just, it was just part of my vocabulary in common, conversation. Someone says like, hey, I'm coming over now, or like, hey, we're going to do this. And then whatever. And I just say herd.
That's just Cincinnati.
No, that's a kitchen thing.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, man, that's the whole, like, it's just an acknowledgement that like I heard what you said. It doesn't have to be whatever. But then like I had people that thought, they thought that it was like like just some shit that I said. And then they come and work for me, and they're like, oh, like that was their first job in a kitchen. And it was like, oh, like I didn't realize that was actually a thing. I thought you were just you just said that. And it's like, well, you think I'm fucking bonkers? Like, and I'd say, like, instead of excuse me, I say behind, in like grocery stores and like wherever the fuck I'm at, you're going back, down a hallway, you say corner, you're going upstairs, you say, coming up, stuff like that. And it's like, it's hard to turn it off because the idea that I was at least taught was, if you feel like you're doing it too much, then you're doing it right. If you feel like you're being annoying about it, you're doing it right. And
because it has to be an instinct in that high intensity situation. Dude, I'm amazed how intensely stressful kitchens look. Like, I know, especially from hearing from you, it is like so high intense. Not all places, but it often is so high intensity.
I can't think of any other job that is both mentally and physically exhausting, and emotionally draining. Most are one or the other, but to have one that just depletes you from the inside out, it really is. You have to love it. And even like my first teachers that I worked with, my first chefs that I ever had, told me like, get the fuck out of this now. Like, don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. These are guys that are like 50, 60 years old, and they're instructors for the American Culinary Federation, and they're licensed executive chefs that have worked all over the world. And they're like, I mean, it's cool, and like, you really, really love it, I guess, whatever, but like, do yourself a favor and get the fuck out of here. And wow. I feel that, and at first, of course, when I was young, I was like, I know what you're saying, but like, I want to do it. And and it was the right choice. I'm glad I stuck with it. But so many people in that class were not ready for it. They were not, prepared to hack it. And most people aren't. It's a lot of fucking work. If you want to get something out of it, you have to put so much into it.
We're going to talk about that more in Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Yeah. Because I could not believe the training they went through.
Yeah. One before we talk about Jiro, I did want to say, the French classical thing, almost every culinary school in America, especially, but most in the world, they teach French classical style, because it is one of the most organized and structured methods to organizing a kitchen. Escoffier was a chef that organized the way, like a hierarchy in kitchens. The turn of the 20th century, like late 1800s to early 1900s, he structured kitchens, to have you have your head chef, your sous chefs, you have your sauciers, you have your chef de parties, the people that make up an entire team that create dishes. And not every kitchen is going to be like that. Most of your mom and pop restaurants don't have that, but they still have their head chef, or they have their kitchen manager. They have a hierarchy that works, and it's almost military-like. So like, it's important in that regard, the French style of the organizing, but the style of cooking, and the same with the cuts and knowing like what those are. It's good to know it, but like, I'm not making fucking perfect juliennes and shit all the time. Fuck that all day. There's so much waste that goes into that. Like, there's so much product loss because you want it to look perfect and straight and whatever. Like, dude, this is going in soup. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the micro, like, you want it to be, you want your cuts and whatever to be close enough so that they cook at a regular temperature, that, they cook to the same amount throughout. But I don't know, man. I just think it's so wasteful, and I think it's super inclusive. They don't talk about, or it's exclusive. Sorry, it's exclusive to so many different world cultures that when you go to a French style school, like, they're going to teach you the French style way of making curries and stuff like that. Like, but it's trash recipes. Even in my experience in my college, we had a chef that was he was Italian, born and raised, had one of the top restaurants in the area, super dope chef. But he would take our recipes for the week that we got from our lab instruction. He would say, now throw those away. We're not making those. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to make, this gazpacho. I'm going to teach you how to make this the right way. And he just simplify it. And it's like, we had a recipe for like tomato soup that had like sugar and shit in it. He's like, no, we're not using sugar. We're going to use carrots. There's a bunch of sugar in carrots. You get the flavor from it. It makes for a better soup, and would like explain to us stuff like that. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. So I think it's a good basis thing, but I think most people anybody that's looking to get into cooking, especially for a commercial thing, first of all, don't do it. Second of all, if you do, don't just stick with the French classical shit. Learn to make Indian food. That's better anyways.
Yes. Now, this is something I wanted to ask you, because I know you'd be honest about what you've seen in the field. Do you feel like, because I know it's a big problem with our food chain supply in general, but grocery stores especially, is there a food waste problem?
Oh, absolutely. It's fucking obnoxious, yeah, without a doubt.
I know you're really good about that, but I feel like you've told me quite a bit. You see that with places a lot.
There's not just a food waste problem, but it's what they do with the waste that's fucked up. Is that so much goes in the trash, and it's like there are places that that do compost, and it costs money to get involved with compost a little bit, but it's so worth it for the environment. It's like I have a guy that for the restaurant I'm at now, he picks it up and they take it to like urban farmers. And it's not just the food scraps, but it's also like any compostable, forks, plates, straws and shit that we use, all the cups, everything we use is biodegradable. So like we, keep all those too, and he picks all those up. But it's
I know San Francisco, they have like a mandatory compost and recycling program.
That's excellent. That's absolutely.
They turn it on to manure for their farmers, and it's been like incredibly successful. In Germany, they do similar stuff, and their waste and pollution output is so much lower, but it's incredible.
Yeah,
and now there's hemp plastic for water bottles and shit that will dissolve. It's like,
yeah, dude, the hemp plastic, the bamboo paper products. Like I just seen an ad the other day for like bamboo toilet paper and paper towels and stuff. And it's like a whole service that they make to transition you and start replacing, regular paper products. And it's like, I fuck with some Bounty and I need some good toilet paper, but as long as the toilet paper is good, I'll fuck with it. I'm down.
Dude, and they're doing hemp woods too. That is like something like 25% stronger than oak wood.
Damn.
And lasts longer and can break down easier.
Oh, fucking hemp trees.
Yeah, man.
That sounds fucking dope. I want to check that out.
Yeah. It's they're not growing the trees, but the wood product.
Yeah, it's processed into it. Yeah.
So what? The waste problem is a real problem.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
It's astonishing. Even if it's not like the waste from produce and stuff like that, like, you think like you trim the ends and whatever, and, take the skin off the onion and whatever. It's like not that, it's the stuff that people overbuy and then it goes bad, or they over prep and then it goes bad. And then you're just dumping it in the trash, even meat stuff, people would buy, excess of it because it's like, they don't want to not have enough, but then they have too much and they don't use it. And then it goes bad. And then they, so it's not like the demand isn't matching the supply, all the time. They think that, it's supposed to, be harmonious in that way that, like you can determine what the demand for the supply is based on what people are buying, but it's not necessary to buy that much all the time. And I've thought this for years, that it's so much better to it's better to run out. Get in smaller amounts, because number one, you're
demand.
Yeah, exactly. It creates like, oh man, I come here all the time and I can't ever get this, because it's like it sells out. It wouldn't drive me away from a place and just be like, that's some dope shit and everyone must love it. I got to come in earlier next time. I got to whatever.
There's a balance. It definitely can drive people away, but that's exclusivity drive demand.
Yeah, exactly.
But Do you mind if I kind of roll this into Jiro?
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm down with that.
So, in preparing for this episode, we wanted to watch some food stuff, and we both had seen it in the past. You were way more familiar than I was, but we watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi, right?
Yeah, my favorite food movie.
Oh, yeah. And one of the aspects they touched on is how overfished our oceans are, and part of that is because the demand for sushi has become so much higher, and they're not willing, these countries, the US, Japan, whatever, were not willing to fish less or smarter.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting in his reflection of the food industry and sushi.
I think it's the US, Japan, and Italy are the three main tuna importers, or fishers that in the world. And I want to say, so the movie came out like 10 years ago.
Give us an overview of this.
I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of strict laws that have come into place since then.
There's been some.
Because I remember I was way into that. That was a huge thing because I was in culinary school at the time when that movie came out, and there's a bunch of other things going on at the same time about like we need to start only supporting restaurants to get sustainable fish options, and only and people were freaking out about it to a certain degree, and it's like, well, certain things aren't endangered right now. There's not something to worry about. It's certain things, and like there's certain kinds of tuna that are fine, but like the bluefin tuna is overfished, but like the yellowfin is okay and shit like that. So there's a lot of different information going around. But the idea is, if you pull the fish from the sea before that's large enough, then it dwindles down the numbers and the rate of survival drops significantly. So I mean, that's a hunting thing. That's been a fishing thing for years for small fishermen. That's catch and release, if it's too small, but when you're doing it on a commercial scale like that, and they're, just netting up what they can, it's hard to do a regulation on that.
It's a brutal industry.
It really is. It's pretty fucked up. And it's like, don't get me wrong. I fuck with some tuna, but I'm down to not have it for a couple years to make sure that we can make it sustainable. I want to have tuna in 50 years from now. Yeah. I'm cool not having it for a little bit.
So give us the overview of Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Yeah. So Jiro Ono is
it Jiro?
Yeah. I've heard it a couple different ways. Jiro. But his name is excuse me. He is a sushi chef from Japan. He has worked the same job for 70 years. He is currently 92 years old and still works every day.
Dude, that's so incredible, man. And it's like he's 60. He works like a beast still.
He's got, energy like crazy. His restaurant is in a Tokyo subway station, and it has 3 Michelin stars. There's no bathroom inside the restaurant. You have to leave the restaurant and go down to the subway station bathroom. They have 3 Michelin stars.
And they only serve sushi, no appetizers. You can't drink and hang around. Their reservations are at least a month out to a year out. That
was before this movie came out.
Right.
Yeah.
This documentary, if you guys want to check out, super fucking good. My girlfriend, I kept a checklist. She audibly moaned out loud because the food looks so good 13 times in an hour and a half.
Yeah, just the artistry that goes into the plating of it. It's such a simple thing, and they address it in the movie. They say, even when he was growing up and getting started, it's such an old tradition, sushi. Like the sushi masters they've done everything, and he was like, that might have been true, but like for them, but I invented my own techniques. I invented my own things, and, I have my own ideas of how to make it better. And he's like, I still don't think it's perfect, but by all means, everyone else seems to think that he is. He's, seems to be the best in the world at his craft. And they also address it like he's not doing the preparation anymore. He's just coming out and he might assemble it,
right.
But, just from the type of rice they get, it's not like they only buy one kind of rice. It's a certain kind of rice. It's the best rice. And it's, it's rare and it's harder to cook than regular rice. And there's a process to it.
And dude, watching him hang out with the rice dealer was so fucking fun,
dude.
man.
Fucking busted ass teeth, boy.
So good. And he would only sell certain rices to him because he was the only one that could do that rice justice. That so cool.
He said the Hyatt tried to get the rice from him, and he was like, "Give us the stuff you're giving him." And he's like, "No." Even if I could, you couldn't cook it. It's not worth it. That's what Jero was like. Why would you buy something if you don't know what the fuck to do with it?
Right. Now, does sushi literally mean one piece?
Sushi is vinegared rice. So it's just rice with vinegar on it. And that's...
I think the word means one piece, though.
No.
No?
No.
What is it again? Vinegar rice?
Vinegared rice. So you could literally just have the rice with vinegar on it, and that's sushi. You can put anything with it, or whatever. You can have the seaweed or without the seaweed, or seafood or fruit or vegetables, and it's all sushi because you have the rice.
Does most of the sushi you get in the U.S., do they actually vinegar the rice?
Yes.
I feel like I've never noticed vinegar.
It's usually a rice vinegar, which is a sweeter kind of vinegar.
Yes.
So it's not going to be like a white or something like that. It's going to be a lot less noticeable, especially when you mix it with the other flavors.
Interesting.
Good note also, rice vinegar makes dope salad dressing.
Okay.
So if you're ever fucking with that in the future and you don't have, you ran out of that balsamic, reach for the rice vinegar, boy.
Yeah.
But the watching this movie, I liked sushi beforehand, but watching this movie made me really want to learn how to make sushi. So I learned and I taught myself how to do it. And I think I make some badass sushi. It's definitely not ever that quality that they would call great, but I think I make some of the best sushi I've ever had. So, props. I'm just, humble bragging right now.
No, dude, I have so many questions that we'll get into after. I want to finish cover, but I have so many questions about... Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. So Jero Dreams of Sushi, just an absolutely fantastic documentary. I can't recommend it enough.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, in the story, his life story and his relationship with his sons and their stories and how they view it and the apprenticeships, and there's just such an art and a love for their technique and the skill and the artistry of it. It's it's a passion and a love. And he talks about that a lot. He's like, you have to, figure out what you're going to do and then do it every day. You have to love it. You have to pursue it. You have to, have passion for it. You have to, go to bed with it and wake up with it and know that this is, your driving fuel. And I don't agree with all of that. I think,
Right.
I think it's a really strong intention. And I think if you can do it and master something like that, that's great. But it's to know, I guess if you want to be a master of something, yes, that's what you have to do. But
yeah,
it's like the quality of life is a different issue for me,
yeah.
I guess.
I was joking to Sarah. I was like, what a fun household to grow up in. You could tell, maybe not both of the sons, but at least one of his sons, you could tell it wasn't his true passion, at least initially. And he was really he wanted to be a jet pilot or race fast cars. And you could tell with enough time, I think he developed a love for food and sushi, but it wasn't his natural passion. And it was very beautiful and sad how his father's intensity led him to eventually love it, but wasn't his natural passion.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Did you see also the part where they said when the Michelin people came to the restaurant, it wasn't even Jerome making their sushi. It was his son.
Now, that seems like the ultimate success.
Yeah.
That your sons were capable enough to preserve your legacy before you were gone.
Yeah. I think the cool thing on that is like there's a quote in there where there was one of the apprentices of Giroux that went on to start his own restaurant. He said, his son, if his son makes as good sushi as him, people's going to see it as inferior because it's his son. That's just how it is. It's like, it's not the original. It's going to be different. He has to make it twice as good to be seen as equal. And it's like, that's such a heavy burden to have and, whatever, but they seem to take it in such stride. It's very impressive. That dedication to the craft.
Definitely.
In that case, absolutely, the Michelin stars thing is they deserve that 100%. And there are so many, artists all over the world, or chefs all over the world that deserve their Michelin star status.
Now, can you help me understand these stars? Like, what does it really mean when they're saying he has 3 Michelin stars? Does that mean he won 1, 2, and then 3?
No,
or
they can just give
ranking?
It's a rank, so they can give you 3 right off the bat.
Okay.
So
can you get more?
No, 3 is the highest.
Okay. On each restaurant.
Yeah. So hotels do 5 stars. Restaurants do 3. The restaurant, hotels and stuff, it's not Michelin, but at least I don't think it is. Anyway, the Michelin star system is based on. It's supposed to be. I'm gonna want to clarify that. So it's supposed to be based on the consistency and the quality of food, quality of the service, quality of the experience. And the ability to replicate that every time. When you can accomplish that for a guest, then, you're supposed to be worthy of a Michelin star. I make jokes in my kitchen all the time. It's like, where the fuck's our Michelin star at? Like when are those motherfuckers coming through to, give us our Michelin stars,
Cause it is a surprise taste test, right?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is I'm not totally sure about that. From what I understand is like, people seem to know like they're being vetted for, the Michelin guide. So especially in, extreme fine dining culture, which I mean, it's cool. I think a lot of it's toxic, especially with the Michelin star stuff. There's so much toxicity to it where it's like, the people that go through the toll of the stress and the burdens they take of this lifetime of work because they want the Michelin star validation. And it's like, whether it's just the location they work in or, the style of food that they serve. And it's like, it's so rare that, you're going to break out and get that. And if, unless you follow a certain, code and certain people and, you get your name in papers and stuff and then they hear about you, there's so many restaurants. How can they try them all? And that's actually a thing that was publicly released was that they don't try them all. They say they do and they don't. And there's certain places that are just untouchable. They can't, fuck with it. They can't take away stars from that place because it's such a big name and they need to keep it on the list. And, they're making a product. They're making a guide, that people buy and they look into and they use them as a rating system. So they have to have, they have to keep certain things the way they are. But, like once you have a star, now you have to keep it. Say they come in and they really like it and they're like, we're going to give you a Michelin star. Now you got to keep it because if you lose it, then people don't see it as, oh, they had it. And then, they got really good and then they started sucking again. They don't see it as, they were always really good. And then they got a Michelin star and then people came flooding into the restaurant because they heard it was a Michelin star restaurant. and they couldn't keep up with the demand of it.
Now they suck.
Yeah, and so now people people were disappointed with it because they got flooded. Just recently, there was a Chinese street chef that was given it was the first street chef that was given a Michelin star, and she said she hated it because now her neighborhood is pissed because they had this nice chill neighborhood, and now people coming from all over the world to flood their to come check out this street food, and they can't keep up with the demand for it. It's a little street food organization. They can't make that work like that. Like a lot of these Michelin star restaurants, they have reservation setups where it's like they can book people out years.
Yeah, that's like a sabotage for them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think they had to shut down because of it.
Wow. Now is like one Michelin star still a brag?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then you get that, and that's the thing is that's the shitty part about it is like you get one, you get two, and then then you have two, and then you drop back to one, and people people look like, oh, that's oh, it must suck now, and it's like no, it's still a Michelin star restaurant. Like they still fucking still rock. Amazing. Yeah, they went through the effort. And I don't know if it's true. I do want to put this out there, and if someone can get more information on that, but I've heard that there's a lot of money that goes in between, who gets stars and not, and I don't think that's true on everybody. Absolutely not. I think that there's a lot of fantastic chefs out there that absolutely deserve the stars that they have. But I've heard that there's the purchasing of whether even if it's like a buying into them coming to check your shit out kind of thing, which I think is fucked up.
Right.
Yeah. So that's Michelin star shit's weird. I don't want a Michelin star. I've reached the point where I realized what? I don't want to have to constantly fight for it, and then you have to keep upping and it's like, I want to live my life though. I don't want to live in the kitchen for the rest of my life. I've been doing it for 11 years now, and boy, I think I'm good.
Yeah,
I love cooking. I'll always love cooking commercially, but man, I don't know.
I did think of you this morning. I saw just today a restaurant in France got the first vegan 3-star Michelin.
And see, that's bonkers to me that it's taken that long.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, some of the food you do with the courses, that breakfast, whatever, a 7-course meal or whatever you're planning out.
Yeah, man, that's the thing is like, they're never going to come and check my shit out. Like, why the fuck would they? There's so many restaurants. So like, it doesn't matter how good I am. If I'm not in the right, if my name isn't in the right if my name isn't in the mouths of the right people, they can never come down here. So,
yeah, any ranking system like that, even with the best of intentions, they can be very powerful tools, but there's always flaws.
Yeah.
Always flaws. Oh, man. So that kind of covers some basics on the stars. Are you cool with going into an AMA?
Yeah, man.
Ask you some questions.
Fire them shits off, brother.
Do you need to get your Vaporuni in first?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So first off, I'd like to mention when I was watching Jiro, because I've watched it before, I knew I needed food to make it through the movie.
Yeah.
So I bought a bag of pumpkin seeds so I could squirrel it up the whole episode. But I topped it off with your pickled fruit that you gave me
boy,
for Christmas. Pickled strawberries and mangoes, right? Dude, so fucking good.
Right?
It was the only thing I could think of that would kind of scratch that itch of like sushi. And it's such a bizarre thing. I've never had it before, and it's so bitter but sweet, and it kind of reminds me of is it umami taste? Umami.
Yeah.
Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah, absolutely. That sensation of a good balance of flavors. It's usually attributed to like savory things, but when you have so it was pickled strawberries and mangoes. I used champagne vinegar, apple cider vinegar, a little bit of salt, sugar. I got cloves and cinnamon and star anise in there. I think I had some allspice in there too. And it was, yeah, I think it's a fair comparison to say is it's umami, because it's satisfying, surprisingly satisfying.
It's so weird. It reminds me of like alien meat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's say kind of slurpy,
Yeah. All right. So I'll start off with an easy one. What's your favorite sushi?
Sushi. Sushi. Mackerel. Absolutely mackerel right now. That's my jam.
Like in a certain type of roll, or just whatever with mackerel.
So shouts out to Little Tree Sushi up in Royal Oak. That's one of the better sushi places around me. They do a roll with just mackerel and scallion, and it's really good. But I just like a little chunk of mackerel on top of rice. I'm down with that.
Now, I couldn't say it's my favorite, but it's one of mine lately. Have you ever had the peanut butter rolls?
A peanut butter roll?
Dude,
that sounds good as fuck, though.
Dude, the place by me actually does really good rolls, but they have this in-house one. It's a peanut butter roll, and it's avocado, peanut butter, and then nuts sprinkled on the rice. And dude, it's like cheap as shit, and it's like so fucking good.
Yeah, that sounds like it slaps. That sounds good as fuck.
Just a little bit of soy sauce. But what do you think of the deep fried sushi places? Have you ever been to those?
Oh yeah. I fuck
what do
with
you
that.
think?
Well, I mean, people have been doing tempura and sushi for a long time. Actually, one of my favorite rolls that I get from the place I go to is it's baked. They coat it in like a little bit of oil, and then they bake the whole roll, so you get like a nice crisp outside of the rice. So like I like that.
It's a burrito.
Yeah.
Sushi burrito. Yeah.
Yeah. It's this texture and stuff like that. And the sushi burritos, that's another one. It's like the whole thing that people are doing with that is like, I think it's great. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It's,
that's what I think.
It's not traditional, but it tastes good, and it's, it's fucking whatever.
It's obviously not on the same class as like a master sushi, but like it still fucking tastes good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now, this is what I was wondering. So, Jiro is a sushi master. He's amazing. But, like, all right, a sushi burrito, let's say, has a bunch of ingredients, right?
Okay.
Or, like, even a different sushi master that uses, like, a variety of other ingredients, whereas Jiro only uses a couple. Like, it's so simple and minimal. Do you think he can really make stuff that is so much better than other people that use more complex sushi arrangements?
Are you saying in comparison to what he makes now, or comparison to what other people make?
I guess comparison to what other people could do when they get more complex. Like he'll do like the perfect cut of fish on the perfect rice, and it's just two or three things.
So I don't think that other people's is more complex. I know what you're saying, but I think the better word would be muddied, because they're taking more elements and putting them together, and it masks the shittiness of those things. Like any part of that sucks, you can mask it by putting in other flavor elements,
an extra sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Where when you're using, minimal amounts of ingredients, you're showcasing and highlighting those ingredients. And the goal is to not smother them with other things. So I think I'm personally, my whole cooking style is like as few ingredients as possible to get the job done. And like, I don't want to put in too many kinds of spices. Like I want to find, I might pick one spice to like if I'm making soup, I'll start with like, what the fuck do I have first of all? And I'll look at like, okay, I got like potatoes and carrots and, onions. It's like, all right, I can fuck with that. And then it's like, well, what's the base going to be? Is it going to be a broth or like something? And then I find a spice. like when it comes to season, it's like I pick one flavor that I want to go with, and then you kind of build around it. So I think Giro's sushi burrito would be as good as not a gas station, but like as a grocery store sushi burrito, but it's only because it would be masked so much by other flavors and shit that it wouldn't be worth the.
I totally get what you mean, and I was discussing it with Sarah, and I don't think like I don't feel like I'm trying to take away from what he does, but I also wonder if he was willing to use some more complex methods if he could do something even better. Like
when you say complex methods, did you watch them waving the seaweed over the fire and like taking hay and putting it in a fucking bucket fire to sear the fish? Dude, that's some pretty complex shit. He does some wild shit.
You're right, but what it wasn't clear in the documentary is sometimes you couldn't even tell if there was any sauce or flavoring. Like sometimes it really looked like it was just the raw piece of fish.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm sure sometimes it was, but there's a lot of times where they would say like they were marinating something or they're massaging the octopus and stuff. That's
what I was gonna.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. Like octopus is fucking. It sucks. It's hard as fuck to cook right. He
massages it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely does complex things, but I don't know. I just wonder sometimes if the traditional methods to those sushi are limiting to the complexity of flavor that could be. But from what they explained and from what you're telling me, that even with it as simple as he often does, that the flavors could still get just as complex.
I would argue that his techniques are more complex than anyone else. It's more complex than I'm ever willing to do. And even if it's like a traditional thing, that's way more complex. He's getting way more flavor out of anything than I ever could. Mostly because of a lack of willing to do that effort on my part.
Okay. So that leads me. So his meals, there were, the reservations were at least a month out, and there were a lot of rules. And dead minimum, the meal cost at least, it was 30,000 yen, or at least it's like 300 US. And it was very strict rules. But how much would you be willing to pay for a meal like that? And kind of what I was saying before, do you feel like there is any overhype to what he's doing, or do you think it really is that special, worth those kind of prices?
In his very specific situation, I think it's worth it. I think that's very easily worth, dropping multiple hundreds of dollars a person on to have that kind of experience, because there are so few people like him that have that experience and have that style and have that dedication. I wouldn't there.
It is a personally catered meal of 20 pieces of sushi by a sushi master.
It's like I can't think of any chef that I would pay that much for one meal from, besides going to Alinea would be the only other one. Because and that's got a lot of nostalgic stuff to it for me. And I think it would be worth it. But part of my opinion, because people ask me about stuff like that, similar questions like that all the time. And it's like, my opinion is also different because there are so many things that I think that like I could make at least a comparable enough version myself that it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the money to go do that thing. Whereas other people, it would make sense to like, oh, I could never fucking do the wild shit that, this person's doing. I've at least have in my head an idea enough of like I know that, I could go drop $100 on, a head on dinner, but it's not like I could go to the grocery store and put something together for less than $20. It's going to be as satisfying to me.
Right. I get what you're saying. And you think, and I think I probably would too for the experience, but you think his food specifically is well worth the price.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
They say it in the documentary, they say 3 Michelin stars at a place means it's worth traveling to that country just to go to that restaurant. And I don't think that's true with all 3-star restaurants. But that one in particular, absolutely. And I do want to say, like, I try to go out and like check out other restaurants and check out other styles all the time. But dropping that kind of coin, is brutal.
Definitely.
And it's, for me, it's like I'm doing recon work to like see like, well, what are they doing? Like, I want to see their menu and I want to look at their flavors and taste how they did this. And,
it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, compared to like how expensive other, very high quality restaurants get, $300 isn't that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad for me, but
right, exactly. There's a lot of places, that are like that charge a ton of money and they can get away with it. And it's, for what some of them do, absolutely. Like, especially with them, like they're getting the best quality everything. Like they're making, you can rest assured that it's going to be the dopest shit that you can get in Japan right now. He's got it. Yeah. And same with like Alinea. There's so much overhead with the equipment and the science that goes into it, and they change the menu like all the fucking time. It's like they know that if they have they would do repeat customers all the time, the people that went and they want to come back, and like he wouldn't make them the same menu. Even if he was running the same menu at the time, he'd make them something else because they just came in and they had that meal already. So he makes something special for him. And it's like, dude, that's fucking buck wild.
Yeah. And I thought it was really wild how Jiro gets all of his fish from those tuna markets where they're auctioning off the tuna. I thought it was so wild how they would use a flashlight through a cut of the tuna meat. And I'm assuming that allowed them to see how much fat it was. By how much light went through.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me in Hannibal, he would always say that the pig farmers check the depth of the fat by putting a knife in the pig.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but apparently it's true with tuna.
Yeah.
Now here's a different direction. How do you think Jiro's sushi or just any extremely fine dining... Let me rephrase. What do you think of just the blind or sensory deprivation eating? Like, do you? I
think that's cool. I've never done it before, but I think it's cool.
I think it sounds so fucking cool.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, how some top quality food could compare to some like middle of the road quality food when your senses are tricked.
A spam sandwich, a spam and ketchup sandwich versus like a nice. Head cheese or force meat, something that would resemble it. Yeah.
I feel like you could get tricked sometimes, but I also think it could make the high quality stuff seem so much better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think you can definitely, there's a lot of science into you cut off one sense and they expand the others. And, I've never had the opportunity to do it myself. There was a place called, I want to say it was Au Noir in Toronto when I was there. And I walked past it like every day, but I couldn't afford to go there. But it's cool because it gives an opportunity, like all the service staff was blind, had eyesight issues anyway. Or at least that's in the dark. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's all, you're sitting in the dark. I think it would be difficult at first because, you're searching around for your plate in the dark and shit. But I think it would be definitely a cool experience. Especially there's gotta be some research done that's like, how to bring about those flavors. Cause so much of your taste is your smell, your tongue, you get, salty, sweet, sour, so how much of that you would have to build on with, like, do you try to cut out as much of, the scent, I guess you couldn't really do that. I was going to say, how much do you try to cut out and force it to be like, spicy, sweet, sour, to like get like a stronger effect of. Yeah, I'd like to know what it's like to work in a kitchen like that, where you're like, trying to get the most of the experience. Because like just doing it is, sitting in the dark is one thing, but like if you're working in that kitchen, you want to like make sure that like they leave with the effect that like, yo, this was wild shit. Like everything tasted so much stronger, without over salting it and making it shit.
Kind of part of what you said reminded me a lot of the wine somms.
Yeah.
And there's some really cool, interesting stuff with them because they're so talented. But in some of those documentaries, they also expose I feel like there's a lot more bullshit with alcohol tasting than there is with food.
Yeah.
I feel like the food world's a lot more like learned or like studied. Like there's more to it with food. With alcohol, it gets kind of abstract and weird.
Yeah.
Not that there aren't very talented people and amazing things, but it seems to get weirder with alcohol.
Yeah, the wine shits, there's a lot of bullshit going around. And, a lot of that is, lobbied to be, to make you spend more on wine, and
right.
Any real wine snob will tell you, like, you can get a really dope bottle of wine for just a couple more bucks, than something really cheap in a grocery store. Like, you spend, $12, $15 on a bottle of wine, it's going to be at least as good as, something that could cost you, $75 or something. And it's the same with whiskey too. The Jim Beam I drink, the Jim Beam Black, that shit, it beat Pappy Van Winkle. I forget how many years old it was in a blind taste test. And it's a $22 bottle of, liquor versus, a multiple $100 bottle of liquor.
Did you watch that documentary about the fake somm that sold $1 million of fake wine?
No.
Dude, he had he made formulas of how to rip off real wines, and then he would fake bottle them and package them himself and sell them in markets. And it was like the Koch brothers were involved because they bought like hundreds of thousands of dollars of fake wine from this this Asian kid who like came over to like do this racket. Like he really loved wine, but he saw how full of shit the world of wine was, so he figured out how to mix real wines into, like, he sold bottles of like Thomas Edison's wine for like $30,000, like, and he would just rip them off and sell them at auctions. It's a really good one.
Wow. I mean, good.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, good for him. That's great.
Yeah,
I love to hear that.
Yeah. All right. Now Jiro's apprentices, they had to train for a decade to become qualified. That is incredible. Now
to become qualified to cook the eggs. That's it. Like, 2 years of just fucking with towels and, cleaning shit, however many years it was before they were allowed to touch the rice, however many years it was before they're actually allowed to, do anything with the fish. Like,
now, what I was a little confused, they're at least getting paid, right?
I would assume probably a little bit.
Yeah, maybe like it goes up in stages, but you can't give a decade without getting paid. I mean, I won't do an unpaid internship. there's a really common thing in the culinary world called a stage. And it's usually like an international thing, but it can be anywhere, where you go and you volunteer your hours at a restaurant. So you can learn from them. You're gaining knowledge, and sometimes like they'll put you up in a hostel or something. They'll figure something out for you. So you have a place to sleep at night, and you eat at the restaurant. But it's not, it can be extremely fulfilling if the conditions are good and the chef is a worthwhile teacher. Like just because they're good at something doesn't mean they're good at communicating it and teaching it. Right. They might just have a good knack for it. And,
you're not going to get anything from that person, especially if they have a short temper and shit like that. Like a lot of chefs do. That's, it's not unheard of. If I were to find out that they weren't being paid at all, it wouldn't surprise me, that much.
It is Japan. I don't know.
I mean, even if it was America, because the industry is like that, I think that's so predatory, though. Oh, it is. Absolutely, it is.
Like the medical world does it, the tattoo world does it. It's just, God, I just think that's really fucked up.
Yeah,
in a way,
it's a craft, and they know that people want the experience, and it might be they apprentice, they stage for a couple, a year or so, and it's like they prove that not only are they that when they approach it, it's like they want to learn it. When they stay for a couple months, they learn that they prove that they might be picking up information. They do it for a couple more months, and it's like they're either getting the hang of it, or they're even more intrigued. They're still interested. If they stick around for a year without getting paid to do it, that's somebody you want on your team. They're definitely dedicated and they want to get involved. So it doesn't.
You're right about that.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me to see, that when he brings in any apprentice at all, especially in that environment, that they start at no pay. And especially after that, after the documentary, I bet they get flooded with requests, for jobs there. So,
right. Now, the egg sushi looked so fucking good.
Oh yeah.
Dude. I've never had that.
Oh man. That's actually one of my favorites. I'm sure theirs is fucking incredible. But yeah, egg that's one of my tops. Oh, it's usually a little sweet.
I was looking up places I can try to get some here. Sure, won't compare, but
get that natty boy sushi.
Yeah, the amount of dedication and attention they had to pay to cook that just right in something that's so difficult. I was mind blown.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I also really liked how they said that, like, when you watch them handle the sushi, it's so precise, powerful but delicate, and they compared it to handling a baby chick.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and it reminded me of now I know it's in Hannibal, the show, but dude, the cooking in that show is just like that whole documentary. Like, they do it justice. But do you remember, have you heard of the ortolan bunting?
No.
All right, so I bring up this meal because it relates to the baby chick, how he talked about handling the chick just right.
Okay.
So the ortolan is served in French cuisine. It is typically cooked and eaten whole. So it's a baby chicken cooked. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Everything in it.
I know what you're talking about.
And yeah, traditionally the diners cover their heads with a napkin or towel while eating the delicacy, because you don't want God to see your face while you eat it. Dude, well, we're gonna do that one of these days.
That's one of the few ones. I don't know, man.
It's brutal, but
yeah,
fucking Hannibal does it without the napkin because he's not gonna fear God. And that'd be so cool. That's a brutal move.
That's one of the ones where it's like, boy, even like foie gras. I want to try foie gras, but it's like they have to force feed the duck. Yeah. And like even like octopus, I decided I don't want to eat octopus anymore.
I'm against.
They're super smart. They're not like domesticated, where they're way too intelligent for what we give them credit for. Like, we're not eating dolphins, we're not eating, apes and shit. Like, they're incredibly intelligent and awesome creatures that I don't think we should be eating.
I agree. I would make the exception for one time in my life to eat the baby chick, though. One time.
If you and I, if we get past this not being able to travel thing and we go to a place where that's a thing that they serve and they're known for it and they do it well.
Yeah. Someday.
Yeah.
Future.
I'll consider it.
I've heard the Korean bowl of baby eels is really good, but they started making that illegal, like the shark fin stuff. And like you said, the frog wad, like that shit's fucking evil.
Yeah.
Like I would want to try it, but that's too fucked up.
Yeah. That's just one of those things. It's like I'm cool. Like I know, like the meat industry enough is so fucked up. I hope that by making good purchasing decisions, that especially the eggs, you can start there, but like just the way that slaughterhouses and all that are operated, especially if they're able to produce meat from the plant cells like they've been trying to do, like they can change they're going to make them change their shit up, and it's it's not going to be as easy to get away with all this bullshit. Like it's still killing an animal, yes, but to not do it on such a commercial scale, I guess, like stop injecting them with hormones and shit. Here's another one that's on the same lines of what we were talking about before. Provimi veal is a special kind of veal where they holster them up when they're born, and they don't walk around. They just milk feed them until.
Who the fuck thinks of that?
Yeah, it's like it keeps the muscles tender. And they're milk fed, so they what they're fed, and then it's like and then you got those Wagyu cows that are fucking living it, the fucking Kobe beef boys that are just getting massaged and they're drinking beer. They feed them beer, man.
Shit is wild. Now, do you know, I think you told me about this initially. What is that fruit you can eat that changes how other things taste?
Oh, fuck. I don't remember.
Do you remember
I know what you're talking about. I forget what it's called. Boy.
If you look it up, I'll divert for a second. Okay, it's this fruit where you can eat, and it's like you can bite an onion and it'll taste like an apple. Like it changes how your taste buds function. And it was a thing for a while. People would have parties to try different foods out with it. And I always thought that sounded so interesting to try.
The Miracle Berry. What's also called the the scientific name, Sensipalum.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Miracle fruit, miracle berry, miraculous berry, sweet berry.
I think I heard miracle fruit a lot. Yeah. It sounded so cool. Make bad things taste good, and good things probably taste weird.
So it's got a low sugar content, mildly sweet tang, contains a glycoprotein molecule with some trailing carbohydrate chains called miraculin. When the fleshy part of the fruit is eaten, the molecule binds to the tongue's taste buds, causing sour foods to taste sweet. At neutral pH, miraculin binds and blocks the receptors at low pH, resulting from ingestion of sour foods. Miraculin binds proteins and becomes able to activate the sweet receptors, resulting in the perception of a sweet taste.
So it makes sour taste sweet.
Yeah. It lasts until the protein is washed away by the saliva, up to about 30 minutes.
Wow. Now, did you know that dogs can't eat grapes?
I did know that, and I also knew that cats can't eat grapes. Did you know that that's the reason why we don't have... do you know that's why we don't have grape ice cream?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's entirely true, but the story is as such. Ben and Jerry's of Ben and Jerry's, they knew each other like through college and whatever. At one point, I forget which one it was. One of them was dating the other one's sister.
Okay.
And he had just cracked the flavor for grape flavored ice cream. He was excited about it, whatever. He took it over to our house, and their dog ate it.
Oh, no.
And the dog died.
Oh, shit.
They stopped dating, and he never made grape ice cream again.
Oh my God.
Because it was, it's dog poison.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that, and I was feeding my parents' dog, grapes the other day.
Oh, shit. Is he okay?
Yeah, he was fine. But it turned out to be funny later, because we're at a family dinner, and I pick a grape up, and I'm sitting there trying to feed it to him, and no one says a thing. No one. They all just are watching me. The dog eats the grape, and like 10 minutes later, my sister's like, I don't think you're supposed to feed dogs grapes. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then my mom's like, yeah, I think I've heard that too, Steven. And I'm like, all right, this is bullshit. And then my she Googles, how many grapes does it take to kill a dog? And Google says, just one. Dude, I fucking lost it. And it's all about how their kidneys shut down and like one grape's gonna kill your dog. He's a big dog. He was fine. It's been a while
Jesus.
Since, but God, I thought I killed the family dog at dinner.
My cat, I actually learned it about cats because I've tried to get my cat to eat, like, not like table scraps, but like, like I have like a piece of ham or something. I'm like, here, try this out. I brought her home like Wagyu beef fat, and she didn't fuck with it. Like, she like lick a little bit, like lick the salt off and then whatever. Like, she won't eat anything besides her fucking dry food. Even like canned wet food, won't fucking touch it. Like the good shit. Anyway, I brought home, I got like some grapes and I put them in a bowl and put them in the fridge. And every time I'd open up the fridge, she would be in there like trying to climb up into the fridge, like trying to like sniff on them and like biting the vine and shit.
Oh God.
And I thought about like, maybe I'll give her a grape. And I just had her for like a couple months at the time. So I didn't know anything. So I'm looking up every time I was going to give her something, like checking it. And luckily I did, because they're like, no, grapes are super poisonous. And it's like, oh, fuck. And I was like, can she chew on the vine though? And they were like, yeah, she can chew on the
once.
Not even once. Like, nah, she can chew on the vine. That's cool. But she did. Then she'd just fucking go ape shit on the vine. But it was still, every time I open up the fucking fridge, she's trying to dig into the bowl. Like, fuck, man, come on. And that's the other one. So grapes and chocolate. She'll try to eat chocolate.
Oh,
it's like,
I know
motherfucker, how come you want to poison yourself?
Yeah.
Like, she'll sniff everything, anything. So like, I'd let her, just sniff it to see if she wants it. And so whenever I pull out food now, she thinks, oh, let me sniff, let me check it out. And then, but it's like chocolate, and it's like, you can't have this. And she's like all up in my grill trying to get up to it. And so I've let her like, just like sniff it and, learn that you don't want this. And then like, she'll start trying to lick it. Like, fuck off, yo. Like, why are you trying to kill yourself?
Yeah, Sarah's cat, who you met, she's super skittish, but she's addicted to popcorn. So
yeah, boy.
She won't hang out with me all day. Sarah goes to sleep, and like a lot of nights I'll make popcorn at like 3 a.m, and this cat will stick its head in the bag and like shake her head around and shit. So like I don't want her to choke or anything, so I'm not gonna give her a whole piece. So I'll, like, baby bird, like, chew up a tiny little piece of popcorn, and then she'll sit there and eat it with me. It's very funny. Yeah. But all right, do you remember? Before we go to the next topic, do you remember my place in Northside?
This was like 1-bedroom apartment.
It was a house. That was.
No.
That was.
Oh yeah. I remember I stayed over that one night
before I moved to Hawaiian Terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that house, that's where some crazy shit went down. And my buddy, who had a safe that had all kinds of terrible things in it, but he also had 2 dogs. And one day he left the safe open, and the dog ate 300 marijuana caramels.
Oh no.
Dude, it had like ounces and ounces and ounces of chronic in it. Like high dose, homemade. Like it had to have been $1,000 at least. This dog passed out on this couch for 5 days.
Oh my God.
Dude, it pissed and drooled on this couch. And by the end of the week, the whole couch was wet. And it had to be thrown away.
What?
It was so stoned, it couldn't move for a week. It was scary.
Was it ever okay again?
Fault. It was. He was fine.
Okay. Jesus.
He really was fine.
Oh,
but it
poor
was
puppy. Oh.
so scary. But like by the time we knew he was going to be okay, it became very funny because it was just a dog drooling.
Oh, Jesus.
It was bad. All right. Next topic. Cannibal sushi.
Cannibal sushi.
Your thoughts? Would you hit?
If you're gonna eat a person, the parts that you could eat raw, or the parts that you should eat raw.
We could just go with cannibalism in general. I just wanted to get there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. As a chef, I am tempted to try nearly everything. Yeah. The plant-based meat, shit like that. I wonder, you know what? Now that makes me think, if they could do the plant-based meat out of human protein cells.
Dude, they totally can.
They're already
cloning
human
could. Meat. I'm sure some scientist has got away with trying it.
We're going to be put on a watch list for talking about this.
Probably. I found a podcast the other day that was about the ethics of cannibalism. And I thought that was pretty cool. It could be on Spotify.
Well, is it a Modest Proposal?
No.
A Modest Proposal was written by, what was his name? The guy that wrote Gulliver's Travels. But it's a satire piece, but it's about what to do. I think the subtitle is like a solution to the burden that orphaned children or orphaned or burdensome children have on their parents and country. And it's like, oh my God. It's the Modest Proposal is that we eat the children.
Ooh.
And it was written, it looks serious the way it's addressed, but it's like it's a satire piece. Right. It's pretty fucked up. It's funny because it's supposed to be, but it's fucked up.
That sounds outstanding.
Very good read.
Yeah, I've had very minimal cannibal experience. hopefully someday. Yeah. Now, what is the weirdest thing you've ever ate?
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
We're getting to the more fun.
Yeah, this is a good one. Because I have a couple of answers for that.
Go for it.
I think papaya is one of the weirdest flavors. It's a very normal thing. I think it's a very strange flavor.
That's how I feel about coconut. I hate coconut.
Oh man, fuck off. Coconut's dope.
I know, and there are times like a hint of it can be very tasty for me. Like I know you could do something coconut I'd like, but if it's too much coconut, I can't.
I get you. It can be overwhelming. Even if I like it, it can be overwhelming.
I don't like coconut or ginger, no matter how much I try.
Oh fuck, I love ginger. I put ginger in everything.
I know. I want to too.
Let me think. Of the actual weirdest thing, I had a can of rattlesnake meat before.
Yeah,
that was just weird.
That's pretty weird.
It wasn't. There was
alligator jerky.
I've had gator jerky.
It's not bad.
No, it wasn't bad. I've had kangaroo meat before. That was actually in culinary school.
That's cool. Now,
ostrich is dope.
Kangaroos aren't endangered. There's lots.
Oh yeah, they're like a problem.
That's what I thought. We went to the zoo one time this year. It was weird because it was during COVID, and they were supposed to like have very low amount of people there, and then we get there and there's like hundreds of people without masks.
Oh, of course.
Like, sweet. But we saw some kangaroos up close. It was very cool.
Nice.
I wanted to box one.
That's one I think I would try again is a fucking ostrich. Ostrich meat's cool.
Aroo, baby.
And I'm pretty sure they're not endangered or anything. They're farmer. Oh, I would definitely be down to have some big bird eggs.
Dude, that scares me. I think that looks so creepy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it does.
Yeah.
But I'd be definitely down to try it.
I heard it doesn't taste good,
yeah,
but I don't
same.
know.
Huh. There's ways that people have practiced preparing it that make it, taste the way it's the best. The way that makes it taste its best is the way I should phrase that.
Gotcha.
But ostrich is actually kick ass because it just tasted like a good, gamey beef. I fuck with that. I like liver too. I like a good liver and onions.
I've always been scared away.
Yeah,
by liver. It's not my thing.
I get it. It's
not scared.
It's the super irony flavor, and the smell's really strong. But it's that's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, I saw that X-File episodes where the guy eats people's livers and he can live forever. And that's always stuck with me.
It's the secret to life, man.
Yeah. But liver doesn't quite do it for me. So rattlesnake is probably your weirdest.
Yeah, probably.
Huh. Okay. That's pretty good.
I'm sure there's another one in the deep recesses. If I think about it enough, I'll let you know. We'll edit it in next week.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And I have one of my own, but what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever made? Yeah. Most ridiculous thing you've made.
Boy. Okay. All right, so in college we had I'm in culinary school, so it's a bunch of, we're all chefs. And it was for Super Bowl party. It was like a Super Bowl party. Meanwhile, I'm in Canada, by the way, but they wanted to do an American Super Bowl, and we got like, there's 4 or 5 of us together, and we just got high as fuck, and we had an epic mealtime moment.
Oh yeah.
It was bacon wrapped. Oh god, let me try to remember the layers of it.
I remember you telling me.
It was it was wild. So it was a rabbit stuffed with rice and cheese and bacon, and then we layered bacon and cheese around it. And fuck, what else did we do with that? We made some like a casserole with something else, and served it with it. Oh damn it, I don't remember what it was. It was just so much shit. It was just like stacks and stacks and layers of meat and cheese and just ridiculous shit. That's one of them. That's one direction of that. But when you said the most ridiculous thing I ever made, I think about some of the ramen that I make.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, some of my ramen creations at 2:00 in the morning when I'm maybe I'm sober, maybe I'm not. Maybe I don't have much in my cupboards. Maybe I do. And throughout the years, I've been making ramen for a solid 10 years now. I've been making like interesting and fun shit with it, whether it's hood shit or it's trying to make it like some legit whatever.
Right.
I think I'm really good at it, but I think some of my most wild creations have been like ramen based.
Yeah, some of that pea hill stew.
Yeah,
man.
Boy, that
was
fucking
the best when you'd hook us up with that when we'd be smoking. Oh man, so much fun.
That was one of the things that got me into that. Like I said, I realized later on that like I'd be making munchies for the crew, when I was a kid, and it's like, damn, like I realized I enjoyed it. And even David said at one point, like, dude, you should have a cooking show.
Yeah,
it's like that
hood recipes.
Yeah, man, it was just like microwave nachos, like fucking. Like, here's the thing, man. You gotta get even distribution. Number 1. Number 2, double layer that shit. You put some chips down, put some cheese on it. Don't go crazy with it, just some cheese on it. Put some herbs and spices on it, and then do another layer of it. You know, you don't have that much real estate, you know, on the x-axis. You got to think of the y-axis.
Pile it up. All right, bro. So this is my craziest one. I mean, court ordered sober living, Price Hill, right by Murdoch Street. So we're making breaks, and if anyone doesn't know what breaks are, it's prison food shit. You have the ramen, you put in pretty much anything else you can, you cook the noodles with boiling water or a heater of some sort. Dude, we had like 10 or 15 people like save up whatever money we could, and we were buying like multiple bags of Doritos, like summer sausage, the spicy hot mama pickles. We would make cheese sauce by crunching up Cheez-Its and mixing it with water.
Dude, you told me like,
that. Dude, we made, and we had to mix it in garbage bags.
Oh, no.
Like hot water, like somehow we got hot water and we're mixing it in garbage bags. We made a break that weighed 33 pounds.
No.
We weighed it on a gym scale, and it fed like 40 dudes. Hot sauce.
That had to have taken all day.
It was like a night thing. I mean, it was probably like maybe 60 ramen packets. It didn't take as long because you got
oh my god
15 dudes. You know, we had an assembly line going, and we would just cook breaks every night. And one day we were going for the record, and this thing was like, you know, flattened out. Was kind of like a pizza style thing. It went like the length of like a 10-foot table. It was so disgusting and delicious. By far the craziest thing I've made. Very fun.
Yeah, dude, that's some wild shit right there,
dude. But it's so. The truth is, food brings people together.
Yeah, it does.
it really
absolutely does.
Made situations like that so much better.
They said everyone needs to eat, but it's about what you eat. It's that
right.
30-pound break, dog.
Yeah. So that kind of leads me into, I think we're getting ready to wrap up, but I was going to say, when Jiro is with the rice dealer,
yeah.
If you're the sushi master, I am the rice dealer.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
We got to get a picture. It's too good.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to mention before we're going to finally do some dishonorable mentions?
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to throw in before we get ready to wrap?
The culinary industry is fucked up, especially right now more than ever. But in general, it's a lot of toxic shit going on. Don't get wrapped into it. Go to therapy. Talk to people. Tell everyone how much money you make. You know, that shit's fucking, you know, it's only kept secret so it doesn't cause an uproar. And sometimes it's important, but not always.
Dude, I heard 75% of Los Angeles restaurants are closed. Like, have closed for business.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking bonkers right now.
Dude, that's fucked.
I'm not sure the statistic up here, but I know it's a lot. There's a lot of places that have been up here that were open for, you know, decades.
20, 30
yeah, exactly. And they had to close the doors. It's like, fuck.
That's so sad, man.
It's
brutal.
It's, you know, ideally, of course, you know, they'll be either rebought or reopened in the future. It's just like this right now. It's like you can't keep it. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're just going to lose money if you try to keep it open. You're better off, you know, shuttering down. So
yeah,
it's fucked up.
Crazy. Well, you know, I think people forget how important people in the food industry are, how much we rely on them. And it's,
you know, a couple, you know, if you would have asked in 2019, you know, what people thought of people that work at McDonald's, and they said, oh, you know, they're just fast food workers, whatever. But last year, those were essential workers. They were essential. They're, you know, they're heroes and shit.
I hope things continue to change and people keep doing things like Flavor Town, dude, doing good things to try to help these people survive and
always
continue to do awesome stuff for us.
Tip your server 20%. Even if it sucks, even if they suck, tip 20%. If your server really sucks that much ass, if the service was awful, tip the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know,
or just do that anyway.
Yeah. Also do that anyways. Normalize tipping the kitchen staff. Normalize, because also when you tip that server, they don't get to keep all that money. That money gets split up between any bartenders, if they have any bussers, if they have any food runners. Like, they have to tip all those people out. So you tip them 20% of your, $50 bill. That's cool. Okay, now they have $10, and then they give the bartender $2, and they give each of the bussers $1. And now, they don't have, they're left with nothing, after taking care of you, bringing you drinks, taking care of your shit, listening to you bitch about your life, about, you guys need anything else? Oh, I'll have $1 million. It's like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Dude, people tell way too much shit to the food people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why they tell their waiters so much personal shit. But, is that always the case? Like, I feel like some restaurants have different policies with how tips are done. Is it always a split?
That's typical, yeah. And it's more about like, it's part of the food runners and the bussers and bartender. Like, that's part of their paycheck.
Yeah, takes care of everybody.
Yeah. So it's like it's divided evenly, and so they, especially on a night where like you have a table, and they're mostly ordering drinks, and they're ordering a bunch of crazy cocktails and shit, like, and your bartender takes care of you, like, you tip them, the waiter's going to tip them out good because they took care of them, they helped them out. And that's where it builds like a family in a restaurant industry. At least it should, among the staff, because they want to take care of each other. They're in the fight together. So that's kind of how that goes. Yeah.
All right. Do you got dishonorable mentions?
Yeah. So dishonorable mention number 1. While we're on this topic, American style reality TV in general, but cooking shows. It makes me so mad. It's like, I can't watch these shows. I can't fucking watch it because of all the fake tension and bullshit. And it's like, it's just not interesting. It's annoying as fuck. And it's like, who's going to go home? Is it this person? And then they cut, show dramatic shit, and then they cut the commercials. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Is Gordon Ramsay the exception?
Gordon Ramsay is somewhat different. Hell's Kitchen's fucking wild.
Because I feel like I'm with you.
I like
he's good.
Gordon Ramsay in, I get the Hell's Kitchen thing. It is pretty realistic, and a lot of the people on that show don't have any fucking business being on that show. But there's also like Kitchen Nightmares. I fucking love Kitchen Nightmares, because so many of these fucking people running these businesses are so stupid and have no idea. They got their head up their ass trying to figure out what the fucking problem is. And he's, he'll tell them, and sometimes he gets red because he's like, this is fucking disgusting. The way that you keep this place, the way that you keep, your walk-in, all of your utensils and shit, like, it's all fucked. And sometimes it's not even that bad. Sometimes it's just like, you need to strategize the way you project your business. And, right. You're the fucking problem here. You're an asshole or something like that, and he'll tell people shit how it is, but it's real, like, as someone, like, that's one of my things that I do in particular is like, almost, let me think, for the last 5 jobs I've had, which would be the last like 7 or 8 years of my life. All of my, all these jobs were like either up and coming restaurants, or they were like on the cusp of breaking and they needed help. And I've gotten them, like, I come in and I want to help build it to what it can be. And it doesn't always work like that. You get in and you try and you add, let's change the menu. Let's change this. Let's focus on this. And a lot of it, I learned stuff from watching Kitchen Nightmares, but it's all, also from school. Like, you can't call it a fine dining restaurant when you serve food like a bistro, or your service acts this way. Like you can't, you have to pick a thing and stick with it. And there's a lot of that shit. Anyways, yeah, fuck reality cooking shows in general. I do like, damn, what's the one? There's one with Alton Brown that's actually not bad, where they fuck with them and like they'll make them, if you like draw the wrong straw or something, whatever the fuck the challenge would be, like you got to cook the omelet on the back of the pan instead of on the right side of it. Like, that's fun. Yeah, fucked up shit like that. Cutthroat Kitchen. That's not a bad one. It's still, fake drama bullshit, but yeah, I fucking hate reality TV. It glorifies cooking in a way that it's not. And it caused a bunch of people to go into the culinary industry thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have a TV show, and I'm going to go on, Chopped, and I'm going to get famous and have my own restaurant. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. You're going to go bankrupt in the first 5 years. You're a fucking idiot.
Well, I'm going to go a different way with my dishonorable. Fuck Lil Weezy.
Oh, yeah, fuck Lil Weezy all day.
Yeah, fuck, dude, back in the day, yeah, he had some occasional good songs, but getting that pardon with Kodak Black to get off that 10-year gun charge as Trump goes out of the office.
Yeah, no.
And then he started swagging out, Trump, fuck all that. I wasn't surprised, but it's some bullshit.
Hey man, he can afford that. He can afford that pardon. Oh, also, fuck Bobby Flay.
Fuck Bobby. Hashtag fuck Bobby Flay.
I don't like him. Fuck that guy.
Okay. Before we do our sign off, whatever, I did want to mention, in recording these episodes, we've been trying to not do real edits, and I kind of like that in podcasting, it's really easy to make mistakes because you're speaking without thoroughly thinking. That's part of what makes it special. So I've definitely made some mistakes. I called Africa a country instead of a continent, and I mispronounced David Icke's name as David Ick. And we're going to make lots of mistakes. We're trying not to edit. Just wanted to get it out of the way. I do think it's funny. I get tons of David Icke ads on my phone that say life is a simulation now, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. And I mean, Steven's going to make a bunch of mistakes. I'm going to stay perfect as always. No, I definitely, I know I'm going to fuck shit up, and that's, yeah. It's not intentional, I don't, we're sorry.
We're two trash heads.
Yeah, dude. I went to public school. Steven did too.
For a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Shout outs. Thank you, John, as always, for the music. Approaching-Human on SoundCloud. Shouts out to our boy David.
Yeah, hit up David Blake Music. That's David Blake, Blake, Music on Instagram. Also check him out on Spotify.
Yes. If you get really bored after checking them out, I have my art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. And make sure to check out the Trashcats Trashcast Instagram page for shit to go with the show. Yo.
You don't have to say that on recording as much as I do. You're an amateur at it. We need to get you doing that more.
Dude, that was the first time. That's a tongue twister, man.
I mostly nailed it. I mean, I'm gonna fuck it up now because I just said that.
I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah. So thanks again for listening. Of course, check us out.
Hashtag fuck Bobby Flay.
Hashtag fuck Bobby Flay. Fuck Andy Warhol. Keep it running.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Next time we're going to be talking about the true OG thug life came from a place you didn't expect, from India.
Cult of the Thuggy.
Cult of them thuggy awesome. Boys.
Fuck yeah.
Thuggies and they huggies.
Hug life, motherfucker.
A hug life, boy. Come give me a hug.
See you next time.
Bye.